How's it going? It's Chantel. Today we are going to run through our spring checklist because the weather's warming up and we are ready to get out on the water. Our boat's been tucked away in storage for the winter, and it's easy when we do that to forget about things that we maybe put off at the end of last summer and it's time to do before we start boating this year. So we got our boat out a little bit early and we're going to go through our spring checklist and just make sure that we have everything we need, everything's working as it should, and we're ready to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is a visual inspection of the inside and the outside of the boat. I'll run through all my cushions and make sure everything is still in good shape. Nothing bad happened over the winter time while it was tucked away in storage. An inspection of the outside of the boat, just making sure everything looks like I hope and like I remember it to look. After I've done that, I'm going to do a walk around of the trailer. Not just a visual inspection. I definitely want to do that and make sure everything looks like it should, but I also want to run through the trailer lights. So I will plug them into my truck and make sure that all the lights light up like they're supposed to with my blinkers and my brakes and my reverse lights. After I check the lights, I'll check my straps. I'll check my transom straps in the back and my winch strap up front. Make sure both of those are still in good condition and they're going to last me another season. They're not too sun faded or worn out. Then I'll check my tires. I want to make sure that my tires are in good condition, that they have enough tread on them to last for another season, especially if you tow with your boat a lot. And I want to check my tire pressure and make sure that I've got enough air in them for the season. The next thing I want to check is that the boat is actually run ready. So if during your winterize you removed any of the engine plugs or any of the hoses, you want to make sure that those are either back in or back on, make sure that that's good to go. I also make sure in this boat that we have both our T-plug and our transom plug. A lot of boats have one drain plug, some have 3 drain plugs, so make sure that you know where your drain plugs are and that you actually have all of them and they're all in before you try to take the boat out. I like to take out my ballast bags. I don't want them sitting with water underneath them, sitting over the winter time and either getting moldy or just kind of getting gross and making a funky smell. So I pull those out, make sure there's no water underneath in there, just sitting for the winter. So at this point, I'm going to put those back in and make sure that they're good to go. I also want to make sure that my batteries have a full charge. So if you, during the winter, it's a great idea to put your batteries on a trickle charger so there's a constant charge running through them even over the winter time. But I would check that. Just make sure that you have enough juice to start the boat before you invite a whole crew out and you have no battery. The last thing we want to do is make sure that all the services that the boat needs have been done. Ideally, before you tucked it back into storage for winter time, you had any services done already, but I would just double check that and make sure that you are up to date on everything. And then your fuel level. It's so easy to be excited, hook your truck up and just head straight to the lake and get all the way out there and then realize you don't have any gas. So either check it before you leave the house or just stop at the pump just in case on your way. The next thing I want to go over in our boat is the safety gear. Every state has different laws about what they require, and then there are some recommended things as well. For our state, we have to have a throw cushion. Ours is still in good condition, so we'll be good for another year with that. We have to have a skier down flag. I'd recommend having a backup one in the boat just in case something happens to one of them while you're swimming or skiing or whatever. The paddle isn't required, but I definitely recommend it. It's the kind of thing that you hope you never actually have to use, but if you need it, you're going to be so glad that you have it in the water. We'll also check our fire extinguisher and make sure that the date is still good, that it's full and ready for use. Life jackets. It's a really good idea to have everybody in your family try on their life jackets and make sure that they actually still fit from last year. Now, our boat seats 15 people, so I like to make sure that we have 15 life jackets. We have a backup brick of life jackets that probably nobody will ever actually have to wear except in an emergency, but we're covered in case we have more people than we thought we would have. We have a rack in our garage that every time when we get back from boating, we have wet vests and wetsuits. We like to take everything out of the boat and hang it up so it can dry. That just helps keep our boat nice and fresh. So before we go out for the first time, we're going to load up however many vests we want. I like to inspect the bumpers, just make sure that those are still in good condition and that my fender lines are in good shape and they're not torn or ripped anywhere, that they're going to last me through another season. I like the bungee dock lines, so at the beginning of the summer I make sure that they actually still have some stretch to them, that they're going to work the way that they're supposed to. After a few years they'll probably stretch out, and then we'll be getting some new ones. We have a toolkit in our boat. I like to run through it and just make sure that nothing over the winter time got stolen or used out of it and not put back. So I just run through our list of tools that we like to have in the boat and make sure that they're all there. We have a 100-foot anchor line that I like to go through and make sure that it's still in good condition. It's not ripped or tearing anywhere. It's still going to be good to use for this summer. The anchor, just do a visual inspection of that as well. Check it out. Make sure that everything is still in good shape. I check my anchor buddy and make sure that still has enough bungee in it to work the way that it wants to. Another thing that's easy to forget is registration. You want to make sure that you're current for the year. Clearly we are not, so we're not going out tomorrow, but we want to make sure that we have time to get whatever we need for our registration so we don't get out there and not be able to launch. And we're good. We're ready to be safe on the water. And now I want to talk about the fun stuff. All right, the last thing I want to check is the fun stuff. I want to make sure that we have everything we need to ride and play and enjoy our time on the water. We have a stack of boat towels that stay specifically in the boat all summer, so I'm going through those and making sure that we have enough and they're all still going to be good to use. And it's not summer yet, and I want to show you the best thing I have ever bought on our boat. This helps keep me warm when I'm out there driving and I'm wet, and it also will help keep me warm right now. So for gear, I'm an adult, so I don't have to worry about my feet growing anymore, my boots not fitting. But if you have kids, I would definitely make sure that you have them try on their boots for skiing or for wakeboarding, and make sure that they're still going to fit into those boards before you get out there on the water and they don't get to wakeboard because their boots, they can't get their foot in the boot. I also like to make sure that with our surfboards that they're still in good condition, that maybe there aren't any nicks or dings or something I didn't see last year, that when we use them this time it's just going to fill up with water and it's going to make it really heavy. So I just want to make sure that those are in good condition and usable. I also make sure we have our ski rope, our wakeboard rope, and our wake surf rope. I want to make sure that those are all in good usable condition and that they actually make it back into the boat. One last thing, if you have inflatables, tubes, towables, or inflatable paddle boards or anything like that, I would recommend blowing them up ahead of time before you bring them out to the water, so you know if there's any seams that are ripped or any holes that need to be repaired before you get out onto the water and you're out there with something you can't use. I would recommend either running the boat on a hose in your driveway or taking it quick to the lake just on your own before you invite a huge crew, just to make sure that actually it runs and it starts and everything is working the way that it should before you have a whole crew out there that's going to be so bummed if something doesn't work right. All right, that's our whole spring checklist. If there are things that you have on your checklist that I didn't go over, I would love to hear them in the comments. If you have any questions for me, let me know. I'm happy to help however I can. If you like this video, go ahead and hit like. If you want to see more stuff like this, we're going to be putting things out all throughout the summer, so go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you next time.